We're live. Welcome to the breakout session, September 26th. We're doing it again. So we're not in a bomb shelter anymore. we're we're outside. We've escaped.
I'm in a treehouse, which is
The
a small
inmates have
bomb
left the
shelter.
assignment. Okay, we'll take that. We'll take that. So I'm here with Dan Hammond. I'm Nigel Wright, and we are in the breakout session, and we're trending towards the eventual culture home of Culture 55, which is coming soon. So we'll keep you posted. We've you've seen us or maybe heard us on Beatside Tech Talks, which we do Monday through Thursday, and we've been doing for like the past couple months now. Was it?
Yeah, and more than
Yeah,
that,
just
even.
about.
I think it's almost
Yeah,
three
yeah.
now.
Yeah, we got about 60 episodes in, or on that, which has been fun with the rest of the
We're getting
group.
really
But
close to
we've
3 months.
we started doing this. Okay, well, it says my recording is stopped. Okay, all right.
Really? Oh, I just lost you. Are you still there?
Studio. Okay, that was weird, but
So,
we'll
so
take it. We're still.
did we just switch sides?
It did. It just said you're not recording anymore. Too bad. And then it said refresh, and I refreshed, and here we are. So, uh, note to all the audience, technology doesn't always work, and we're okay. We're okay with that. It's not our ideals that exist. I think the delusion of believing the tech. We're in the breakout session, and we have something very interesting, from last night. But first, Dan Hammond, how are we doing today? What's going
Doing
on?
good. Good to see you, Nigel. Glad to be here. It's great to see you on a Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. I hope you have some amazing plans for your weekend. And if you don't, then I hope you just get to enjoy yourself with a nice cup of tea, whatever your favorite warm beverage is, and go ahead and do a full on Netflix session. Do a whole season of something. Your choice.
Th- there you go. But what we were doing last night was pretty interesting. We moved in a little bit more on our um, locally elected officials project by
Yeah.
the first for me attending the a city council meeting for our budget over in Florida, and that
Even
was
more
pretty interesting,
specifically, St.
and
Pete.
right, right. I was happy you attended as well to give some perspective on what it was. So I'm gonna just briefly go over what the project is, give people the link, and then we can talk about what happened, what we observed, and what the things we came across while we were doing it. So for a while we'd been talking about in our segments on Beachside Tech Talk about government and politics and how it affects us. And one of the things that I had been disappointed in myself with, I'll throw myself under the bus here, was not knowing all of our elected officials. And I'm not necessarily talking about like the president and vice president, although I could have used to bone up my knowledge on what the office actually is capable of and all the powers uh, and abilities it has, but of what our local elected officials do and all the positions, whether it be elected or appointed, do. And not having that information at hand made me want to, we started talking about it, and I was like, yeah, I think we could do something with this. There should be something that'll help people, get on the treadmill and
Yeah.
get some reps and sets in about knowing who their elected officials are. So came up with a prompt, put it together, and we started running it. And then one of the things that came up for me was, hey, it's that time of year, your budgets, taxes, all that stuff. Make sure to join the meeting in September. So looked it up. So, looked it up based on the information that came back from the prompt and went to the meeting last night. So that's where we are. So for those of you who want to participate in this, and it's not, I wouldn't say
Well,
it's easy. You
hold
know,
on a second. Hold on a second.
I
So
yeah,
before you go there, we need to explain, not what happened, but what was the meeting? It was a civic meeting having to do with
correct,
civic municipalities, correct? And it was an open
correct,
forum.
correct.
It was an open forum meeting, so it wasn't something that was streamed. It was live streamed through um, Saint.
YouTube,
It's called, yeah, through YouTube. They have their own
St.
live.
Pete TV, but it was streamed via YouTube too.
It's Saint Pete Live TV, I think it is, and they have that running all the time. And I was very impressed with what they have as a channel where you guys are at, Nigel,
Mhm,
because we got enough money here. I'll tell you right now where I'm at in Santa Cruz to easily have something like that. And I looked it up. We have a Santa Cruz Living channel. I didn't go on the website yet because it was just a website that they let me look up, but I didn't see anything that's like, informative news like now happening. I saw at
mhm.
the end of the meeting they had yesterday, real quick to touch on, they had a young, did you see the young lady that they had on that was talking about disaster preparedness? And if you guys have hurricanes where you're at,
Oh, we do.
you
We
have
absolutely
hurricanes.
do.
So she was probably, I don't even think she was 16, but she might have been 16. She was a
Mhm.
young gal, purposeful like a Malachi. She looked young like that, and she had the good neighbor buddy system going, and it talked about the categories. There's a warning and a preemptive, and then it's actually happening for you guys. It's like a green, yellow, red kind of light, kind of awareness system, to where in red it's like immediate evacuation. The yellow one is prepare to evacuate, might have to, and then the green one would be more like,
Right.
going to have a severe storm, lot of weather, but super informative. And I was very jealous that I didn't have a place that was live streaming like that. And we just did something on the radio. They had it. Her presentation was phenomenal. Aces across the board, in my opinion. Delivered great, totally right there in the face of the camera. She had practiced, so you could tell a lot. She delivered it perfect. And yeah, bro, I was super happy to be on yesterday in that forum, just watching it and the impact of it. I took a lot away from it. What did you say it was? Was it a 3 hour?
It ended up being 3 hours. I had never been to one before, and, I would
Well,
encourage
well,
people
let's
to,
finish what it is. Let's finish what it is. So it
yeah,
was a civic meeting.
it
That's
was a budget meeting. It was a budget meeting specifically for the 2026 budget that, specifically affects the tax rates and a few other, local, items. And it was also a public forum where citizens can come in and voice their opinions or concerns and that sort of thing to ensure
right.
that they are heard. They're heard. So that the only reason I even knew about that, was because it came up in the prompting that was done. It just mentioned that August is the time where you would see your what they call a trim notice, which is what tells you what the proposed budget is going to be, and then it
Right.
let you know that the I didn't make the first one, um, but I saw it come up, and I was like, I marked it on the calendar, and I went there. So my point in saying all that is this: the prompting was great. Getting information is great, and doing the research, good preparation. But the impact is by the participation, by going to participate. So kudos to everybody who actually went to the meetings and took their time, because whether they did research, didn't do research, prepared or not, they were there as compared to people who were not there. So the idea behind this whole thing was to get people more involved so that they could have more participation in
Right.
what is provided to them as a citizen, whether it's United States states, whether it's, Santa Cruz or, or St. Pete or Tampa, or, that area. Um,
Right.
this way, instead of just, we all can complain. That's not a real skill set. It's not hard. But when you know what's going on, and there were a few things that I was surprised to learn, happy to learn, definitely helpful, which we will jump into. But for those of you who want to participate, I'm just going to get this out of the way right now, and I'll repeat it later. For those of you who want to participate in the program, really all it's going to take is to put in your zip code and or your address. I don't particularly recommend using your home address. You could use like a local bus station or a supermarket or something. It works just the same, or similarly. You get back a robust document that will tell you the things that are going on in your particular area as it relates to the government, city, state, and it also has some other federal resources that we had created as source documents in there. But the point is, it'll give you some good, clear insights and at least give you a head start on understanding, and it'll be organized in a fashion. Will it be every single thing? No, and we're updating it as we go along. So if you go to bit.ly// US elect official bit to ask for permission, which I will see, or Danny will see in email, and we will permission the document, and then you can go ahead and run, copy the prompt, run it, and then um, as you participate, we will be able to see the insights across the different states by people who actually have a passion or are impacted by it. I feel like that was a good way for us to be able to engage with others on a common matter, but is in our different demographics. So the fullness of the diversity in our different areas and being different people can come to light, and we can see insights across
100%.
states,
I think also, I
across
think,
different people and demo.
yeah. And
Yeah. So
it was visceral last night too. In my opinion, there was a couple stories that really I did not expect to hear. Um, like for instance, they started a guy talking about fixing the roads, that that the gal had been in the back of a vehicle or on top of a vehicle for whatever reason, acting stupid
mm,
or whatever, but had fallen either out or off the vehicle and had died, and had a young child. So the child is motherless, and it's because the road somewhere on some, they named the street and stuff on a section of street where the road was so bad that it actually, is questionable whether the bad road actually could have maybe caused the life of a person because of falling out of a vehicle. So I thought that was
I
just
was surprised, on that
visceral.
same note.
That was visceral.
I, I was surprised that so much, yeah, was talked about with the roads. Like, cause I didn't know. I don't cycle, but apparently there's been a number of cyclists just this past week that had gotten killed from
Right.
accidents. And according to the numbers that were cited, and I haven't looked this up, so take that with a grain of salt, but they said over the last 10 years, 130 cyclists have been killed, or
Wow.
in accidents, and some of it was fixing the roads and making bike lanes and things of that nature. But you if you don't hear these things firsthand, and you're not like, I'm not a cyclist, but I do care about people on the road, and I'm try to be as careful a driver as I possibly can. It starts to open your eyes to things that are going on right in your local neighborhood that um that you're not aware of.
Right.
Then there was the talk about, while I didn't get the impression that like it was rampant enough, but the metric that stuck out was they were the citizens were talking about in the gun situation was very young. I'm talking 12, 14. It was young. One one person had found a weapon in an alley and playing with
Right.
it, and it discharged and killed their brother or sister. And not to be all doom and gloom, but the point is there would more not so much more police issues or stuff like that, but more opportunities to have students have other things to do, other creative outlets, programs after school and so forth. um, so just very, very helpful to hear actual citizens, not something you read on the internet, people coming up to a podium,
I thought it was great.
introducing themselves, saying, "I live here." That it drove the point home for me. And then I had questioned and even left a message whether or not, are they going to respond to these? Because everybody had their 3 minutes and they came up and they said their thing. And then you would hear the little buzzer and then they would say, okay, next person. And admittedly, it felt like, is this just an assembly line? Is anybody, and I left a question there, which they didn't have to answer because they answered it. But when everybody was done, each council member started talking about the specific things, calling other people up, give me stats, give me this. So I could good on them. Good on them for at least addressing it.
I thought it was
It
smart
really
that
demonstrates that just a little. Good.
I thought it was smart
You were
for
saying?
them to. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good.
Okay. Um, I thought it was smart that the people that actually came up and talked, they actually you could see that they most of them stayed. They stayed a little longer. They had the audience and the camera. I thought it was a great place for people not only to be informed of their direct local issues that are happening in all aspects, whether it doesn't matter, all public municipalities, schools, religious churches, it does roads, it's everything. You can a public person can come up and address it. Thought it was done in a very orderly fashion. It was great to see that there was no yelling. People weren't coming up to just vent and just yell at the council members. So I thought it was handled very well. Um, and what I found most intriguing was that they are live streaming that, so there's a great sense of transparency. You don't know what's going
Mhm.
to happen when you're live streaming, and if they're willing enough to open up the stream live to their discussions with the public, it's bearing open dialogue. Anything can happen. They could have had people coming up there yelling and screaming, saying the roads or whatever that they are, and and it's actually caused the death of a person and freaking out, demanding that they're doing a terrible job. You can do so much better. It wasn't like that. Everyone who came up had an issue that they wanted to talk about, and they even knew, or most of them knew, of a organization or a small budget that they're actually kind of looking for the city. Remember that everything was kind of for 25,000. I'm part of a thing that's actually reaching out to more youths, and then they would show an outline of what they were doing. The one that would hit me most was or one talking about that he was the organizer and the person that runs the Halloween event in, I think, St. Pete. Last year it had 100,000 people that ultimately turned out. I think it was over a few days, a weekend or something like that.
Mhm.
But he said it, and the show would cost in the past years, past 6 or 7 years since its inception, that it was about 35,000 a year, and he
Mhm.
prided himself that he was able to always be a good fundraiser and was able to create and raise the funds to hold these events. He had the
Right.
paperwork in his vest. There's a $60,000 charge or bill that's going to be implemented for police and security. That's mandatory, or you can't have the event. So it's going to cost $60,000 for him to have the amount of security that's required to have that Halloween event. And that would breathe
Right.
a total of about 100,000. So he was letting everybody know that he's raised a lot. He's raised about 60, and could the city pitch in for half of that 60,000? In other words, 30 grand would get the event to be taken care of. So he has raised 60, he needs 30. Can the city help? And I thought that that was a great way to present an issue. And it wasn't just because of a Halloween event. What it was is that he was priding himself on the community coming together. They had educational outreaches that were there. It's a multi-day event. It's community that can find and network with each other. And it was the biggest holiday of the year that's celebrated kind of outside. It's the last big hurrah of the year, because Thanksgiving and Christmas are, kind of homebody. You may travel to your family or your family comes in, but Thanksgiving is kind of a it's more personalized, not so much where everyone's going out. Halloween is when the time changes. For us, we have a daylight savings time that we use, and it's actually like the end of the summer. All the kids are back in school, and it's the last hurrah for the year that a community kind of gets together. So I thought that was super interesting. But most of all, what I noticed was, here's my biggest take, was whoever was able to get up and speak, and they spoke intelligently, they were able to be on a live stream at a civic event. And it was like, look at you go. You are looking good. Whoever that citizen is, right up front in the town hall meeting with the 8 people on the board up in front of you. You got your time, you had your say so, and there's just no better. It's recorded on YouTube. You can save it forever yourself. And then the biggest thing was that giant Florida seal that was there on the bottom of the screen. Big, big, big
Mhm.
seal saying, this is a live event. And I'm thinking, look at you. What other kind of juice could you get as a citizen, as an individual, out of nowhere in one day, by other than going to a public event that you should, be maybe at least knowing a little bit what's going on. You don't have to go, but you should know the events that happen, because they're only once a month or whatever the case may be. But that was the biggest takeaway. I figured, look at these people go. They've got a state seal written down here, and they have great video in a town place, great setting, and they're not arguing or talking. They're politely interjecting their specific issue that's on their heart. And I thought it was amazing, fantastic. Remember
I thought, okay, so
a couple
oh,
of the
yeah.
issues
Oh, yeah,
we had
and
talked
we're
about.
gonna
I remember saying, "Man," and I can't remember which specific one, but it had upset me enough to where I'd mentioned to you, "Man, I don't even live there, and I'm upset about that. We got to do something about that."
I think it was the, Spiffs, the one with the folk, festival. The festival had
Yes,
been it was
yes,
approaching its 50th year. So
that's right,
50 years, this has been pretty much, 49 in the city of St. Pete, but because of hurricanes and what have you, it had to be moved.
right,
Now they had and again, this is not to criticize. I mean, this thing was well structured. It was well represented as far as how they address the issues. But my point is more along the lines of how we could do better, which is a big thing that you and I have, basically made our mantra of do better. Do better from now on, do better today than yesterday, that sort of thing. And it's this. If you have a long standing tradition, you know, not even just like a decade would have been more than enough to cover that, five
right.
an institution. I think if there is going to be a change that is going, a better term, upset the apple cart, right?
Right, right,
I
right.
feel like the amount of effort that is put into making sure that every box is ticked and tied needs to be commensurate with and just whether it's just sending an email and saying, well, we told you, that's not that doesn't suggest to me that the proper care was if you have a friend for 50 years and they have a 50-year anniversary. If you're married, forget about that. Let's just go with this one. You're married, right? Um, 50-year anniversary coming up. I'm having a good time with this one.
50-year
And
anniversary. I mean, you're
you
talking
you you
70s. You've had a great long life. That what a
right,
blessing. What a blessing.
right, right. So someone's been coming, let's say a husband, he's been buying his gifts at this store 50 years. Every year I get my wife a little, a little thing, and he's coming. This is the 50th year is coming up. I've been saving up, right? And for whatever reason, they're like, well, I know I was going to give you this break, but, things changed a little bit. You would have to do something a little bit different. If you think just sending this person an email when his anniversary is on the line is going to be enough, and then go, well, other people did it. And yeah, that's not going to go over well with his wife. The dude's going to might end up getting a divorce or at least be in the doghouse for a minute. I just think there's something more. You go out of your way. I just feel like that seems appropriate. How about that? So, but they did say they would try to make things work. But the guy was so, but like you could tell how disappointed he was with the response.
Right.
You know, I can't even say it was frustrated because he didn't really let emotions get the best of him. It was like basically, dude, you understand it's been 50 years. Like, what are we doing here? Like, make it make sense was the piece that I got. But everybody, jumped in and, said their piece. And I
It
think he's gonna get the response he needs now.
I think so too.
And that forum offered the
That
opportunity to
whole
do that.
on that whole board, I think maybe one of the members were in their 50s. That was
Mhm.
maybe one or two. There was the two gals that actually had a little tip back and forth. Did you see that? The two board members that were
Mm.
up there, they had
Yeah, 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 yeah.
a falling out because of communication. I forget what the subject matter was,
Mhm.
but I guess apparently the email didn't get answered in time, and it was kind of a time
Right,
sensitive issue. And so they were kind of at each other as to why did you not, why did we not get that done? Was because well, I had given you the email not to do something, but the response you had
right,
requested or what. So, and I didn't know that that email had come, so she didn't open it. So it was a 5-day process or something, and then it was too late, I guess, or it actually cost more, and it was
mhm,
something for maybe a permit or to have something done. I don't really recall, but other than that, for the few hours that was there, and I watched 80% of it.
mhm.
I watched a good because I was intrigued at first. I'm like, this is going to be, it's Florida, really doesn't have much to do with me. But I thought to myself, no, this is great because I can see what their process is over there.
Right, right, right.
If I was only to watch my hometown or my home area's process, that's very, very biased. That would be whatever. So whatever happened there in my hometown, if that's what I was watching, or if that's all I would see. And so whatever's going on there, it would be like, oh, okay, that's expected. That's the norm. That's how they run these city council meetings. Now,
Mhm.
I know having my first one that I've really paid attention to, which was yesterday, of my whole life. That's the first city
Right.
council meeting that I've ever sat through and listened to everything while I was whatever I was watching and looking. I went downstairs for a few minutes to, grab a bite to eat, but like I said, 80% of it I paid attention to it and saw the people come up. Thought it was done very well. I thought the stream was very well. I thought the attitude was well. I thought that things were executed. Definitely, they took it to heart, not just wrote everything down. They will, by the next meeting, there's going to be some either some improvement answers or some
Mhm.
type of actionable steps that were taken. At least something's been initiated, or possibly the answer was no to that request for that
Mhm.
funding for that thing. Because it was
And
budgetary.
even bi and another point was it was a very clear direct response to the citizens addressing them. It
It
wasn't,
was.
"I'll get back to you later." It was, "I heard you.
It was.
Here's where we are. Can you give me some stats? Can you fi" But here's some points that came up that I feel were enlightening, and one, when they started talking about grants, especially for capital improvement projects,
Yeah.
holy smoke, I think that education was a big deal. The gentleman who was speaking, I don't remember his name,
Because of the
he
amounts
said,
the amounts that are in the grants?
maybe, but I just think the context,
Yeah.
you apply, right? And you
Right.
get the design, right? And then maybe in year 5 or 6, you start to get to see, some traction. And then in year 7 or 8, you start to build. So hearing that, I don't know what the whole process is, but that's a good piece of context.
Yeah.
Because if people think that, okay, this is gonna happen this year or next year or the
Right.
year after or you see where I'm going? Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm talking. We're gonna put this on the on the agenda today, and
Right.
perhaps 6 to 8 years from now, you'll start to see a result. So I think management of expectations is super important, and the best way to do that is to by participating. And we
So
challenge each other in this all the time, and I'm not saying that because we're doing it, because we were just as guilty by not going, but drink the Kool-Aid. So,
right.
it's one thing to make the document and say, "Yeah," but going to
There's
the meeting, seeing what it's about,
right.
it was important.
Right, watching that thing, it was live. There's a couple of things that actually, they resonated. I was feeling it inside. The one lady falling out of the car, that was visceral. So that this is a live talk going on. This not wasn't recorded, wasn't edited, wasn't fact checked. It
Mm,
didn't have no one's hands on it. This is
mhm,
really happening right now. I like that. I respect it. It's not reality TV. This isn't a joke. These are things that are being implemented and talked about.
right.
If you want something done, or if you're insecure with your neighborhood, your street lights are out over there. They have been working for a few years. It's up to you to let it be known. Call it in or report it or
Mhm,
something like that, because they have people that are out there doing audits every year, I'm sure, checking things, but even that can still fall
mhm,
by the wayside. We're in control of all of that, and the time streaming that I saw, and like you were saying, it was also the answers that were being produced. They weren't trying to hijack people's time or fill them full of fluff. They were trying to give answers to
right.
whatever the situations that had come up. I thought it was again. I'm kind of sound like I'm repeating myself, I think, but just it was respectful. It was handled properly, and I expect that type of situation to be happening here where I live. You know what I mean? And I have a reference frame of reference now. Excuse me.
And
Um.
and I
So
and
yeah,
I think everybody I think anyone who good.
yeah. Like I was
I
saying,
think anyone who participates will get something out of that. Go ahead, sorry.
no, no. I'm sorry, but again, now I have seen what happened in St. Pete, and I don't expect the same. But I do. I was very impressed with the editing that wasn't done, or let's say not their technology that they had. It was a good setup. Their cameras were great. Not editing, the audio that was working was great. Everything was good. They had different angles for when people were speaking. It was just set up right, and that's what I'm hoping, because mine. So I found out last night that my situation is I'm in an unincorporated area, So I'm not ran through a city itself type of thing. We don't have a police department to call. We are represented by the sheriffs here where I'm at. So it's a different kind of department. And then being unincorporated is kind of more rural or woodsy area,
Mhm.
right by the coast. I'm only 2 miles from the beach, but I'm right where mountains are and stuff. So it's just one of those areas. So point being is for our civic, where our city is in Santa Cruz, they are meeting twice a month every Thursday. For mine, we don't have city council members at all. So the whole thing that I saw yesterday, we don't
Mhm.
have that for Aptos.
Okay.
We have zero civil council members. We are ran by a board of supervisor, and it's
Okay.
just one. It's one person.
Wow.
So yeah, kind of questionable. They're voted in, and I guess we have a lady who's in ours. I'm in district number 2
Mhm.
of 5 districts in this county. So it's gone by a county of Santa Cruz, and we have multiple cities: Capitola, Aptos, Watsonville, Santa Cruz, Live. So all
Right,
those are
right.
each a district, and then I have one representative who represents Aptos. They meet only maybe once a month or every 6 weeks. They got a website. It's really not shady, but really um, uh, antiquated, in my
Mm.
opinion. If you
Yeah,
want to get a hold of them, here's the website and here's the number, and you can go downtown in Santa Cruz to put in a request and that kind of thing. But I'm not seeing a live stream event with 8 council members in all the district that are coming together, and stuff like that. But I could be wrong. I'm looking into it, and apparently our next one is in the end of October, so I got to wait a month. But hey,
we're gonna come back and we're gonna do a part two. We're gonna do a
uh,
part two. We're gonna do a
am I
part two. Drink the
lying?
Kool-Aid, part two.
Am I
No,
lying? Yeah, am
absolutely
I
not.
lying? I'm gonna have a
Absolutely not.
full report. We might even have a little 15-second video going on. I might even, if I'm so inclined, I might get up and say something.
Sometimes you got to say something,
I might
but we
say
definitely
something.
have to do something. We definitely because trying is the win. So then not trying, where are we at? But
Yeah.
here's the thing: the document that came up, right?
The governance
There was
document?
the governor's document had
Yeah, yeah.
some really powerful and helpful things, and I'm not just saying that. I mean, people can make their own judgments on it, but here are a couple of the things that were really, um, first of all, it really helped me understand the government a little better. Um, you know,
Absolutely.
so
I mean, the document in almost a one pager literally will bring you very simple, without any fluff, to take your eyes from something,
mm,
from the federal executive branch of presidency
mm,
all the way down to your local municipality. Like I was saying, there
mm.
they are actual civil work, or not civil workers.
Civil
What are they called?
servants.
Civil servants, right? And then
Yeah.
after and that's your municipal government, which is like your mayor and
Mm,
your city town. That's what we saw last night,
mm,
was the city town council members. It's
mm.
council members who we
Right.
want. And those are the ones who specifically will make changes in your area, because after them is your mayor. And after that, you start getting up into state, into local
Mhm.
government, county board commissions and stuff like that. So we are, and then right after the people who we saw last night, which are city council members, the next one down is special district boards, which is your water and your parks and your public works and parts of even your street. And then under that are school board members. And then last but not least are regulatory oversight bodies, which those are the one, that's the one that kind of
Mhm.
bells go off in my head. Oversight bodies. So I'm never going to see a live stream from that organization, because they're overseeing whatever's going on. They're the stamp where the rubber meets the road, that the $100,000 is going to the road, or a quarter million going into the school books, or they're the ones who get to sign the check, the oversight as to where the money, when it goes,
Right.
sign out. They're not the ones that are all their faces out there saying, "Yeah, I'm the check writer for your
Mhm.
local government." they begin death threats. You know what I'm saying?
They got the checkbook out. So, but here's the thing, right? One of the things that we've been, as we've been talking about this, both offline and on Beatside Tech Talk, or the breakout sessions that we've been doing.
The document is amazing.
Yeah, the metrics have always been things that are important, and with the benefit of AI that we have now, and when I say we, I mean every citizen, that has access to the internet. Not everybody. Like some people, still there's still a digital divide, which was talked about actually on the at the meeting last night. But
Right.
for those of us who have access, to AI, you have the ability to reconcile and see things in a way. And I'm not suggesting that this is easy. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to insult people by saying that, but it is doable, and it is far more doable and far easier than it might have been 3 years ago
It is.
before this technology. So one of the key points that came up last night, which I think you and I both picked up on, was this: when you have a budget, any company, whatever the case may be, if it's not translated,
Right.
there can be things that can be hidden in a budget. That's why you have forensic accounting, you have all these other things hidden inside the budget. So even last night, you had instances where a council person would say, I think there's more money allocated in the budget, but it's just hard to find. The mere fact that that was a statement tells me that there can be far more clarity. Because if one thing is true, is that with AI, we have the ability to get super granular, far more granular in a much easier way than our human brains can comprehend. We could go deep, we can go extremely narrow, and super specific. And I think it'll only aid in the transparency and building of trust, because if you
Sure.
know very specifically X amount of money is allocated to education, here's the breakdown of how that is and where it is on the particular line item, and you could see that spider out to put it wherever you want. But the issue really became, I shouldn't have to be Columbo, or Matlock or Sherlock Holmes to figure out
No,
that
no.
this is happening.
We
It
we
shouldn't be that difficult.
it's happening now, bro, and you know this. We are smart enough almost. It's going to happen with these tools to have a transparent, maybe there'll be nonprofit, but the information is there because it has to be. It's a public work system, and so nothing should be closed. Everything should
Right.
be an open. They're public elected officials. Every decision that's going on, everything involved in us, we have this backwards thinking about it. We take whatever, our politicians, they seem to be Harvard educated, worth it, just
Mm,
they're just smarter than us. They come from well-to-do families. They've just had it better. So, the one you put them in power and highest power. Another analogy of it, and it's very similar, is you say you have a family of five siblings, and the mother and father pass away of old age, a great old age. They both died in their sleep the same day. Great. They have a nice estate. Let's say it's worth $4 or $5 million. Let's say
right.
five siblings and it's worth $5 million. Now, somehow, I'm kind of, I'm venture guessing, but from what I've seen in my life, and I'm getting up there now in my experience, it's 90+%, 9 out of 10 times. Here's the scenario: $5 million estate legacy, five siblings. One is executor of trust. And that executive trust usually goes like this: whoever was more successful, it's not firstborn gets to be executor of trust. It's whichever of the five was the more successful person. And well, what is success? I mean, Bob Marley said it best. What do you consider riches? Money, money and things and houses and boats and cars. That's what you consider riches. Marley's the best. That's not what he that's not what he considered rich. Was the spirituality, Jah, Ra, Krishna, Buddha, So
Right.
again, what I'm trying to say is you get an executor of trust. It's predicated on the most successful of the five. Now we have already war going on. That doesn't seem fair to the other four. It wasn't it The will is not set up to where it's just everyone gets the same chunk. You have one successful sibling and one of them was not considered, and maybe they would be marked out as the
Right.
black sheep. So maybe they even get passed up.
Mm,
There's this unfair balance that happens immediately upon the death certificate being signed, and the children
mm,
siblings who are at war with each other, and nothing is ever fair. I've never heard a situation where every one of the siblings went, yeah, it was super fair, we all were even Steven and it all worked out right. Or executor of trust,
mm,
they got the $5 million and they divvied it all out, everybody gets 1 million.
mm,
No, it was, well, the funeral cost X dollars. The taxes for that cost, the executor gets to pull out, the taxes for it
mm.
cost, 180,000. And they start, having to break out the itemization sheet. And what I'm trying
The
to get to is,
abacus.
yeah, yeah, at the abacus, exactly. And the family's gone out the window, this long family
Mm,
raised together, this unit, this tribe of love and same blood, and they
mm.
got along. But as soon as the matriarch and the patriarch leave the scene, there's no accountability to act right no more.
That's it. The accountability is where, this is truly where the rubber meets the road, and you
And I'm
start
just
to
saying,
see.
this is when siblings, closest people on earth. This is for
Mhm.
everyone to listen. We do this, and so if we doing that with our closest people we with, who in a lot of cases, they're not your best friends. You have your good friend. It's like you're closer with friends than you are with your own siblings. That's most case scenario. I'm an only child myself, so
Mm,
that would be. But I am adopted into my cousin, my aunt and uncle, adopted
mm,
me for
mm.
that. So I have experienced the brotherhood and uncle being an uncle type of thing. So that's what it's all about, is that love and that tribal thing. And we've even talked about this before, Nigel. How about in America? What is this thing where we have a mindset of showing success of parenting by giving your children what you didn't have, not to the point of spoil. You're trying not to spoil them, and when nobody, hey, no one's a spoiler, but I just want them to not. I want them to have all the advantage of. I don't want them to have the bad stuff that I had, the lack
Right.
of food, water, money, clothing, whatever it be.
Mm,
So I gave them everything they needed, and then as soon as they turn of age to be a legal adult, it's college, and out you go. Go make something. Go show everyone how I did a good job parenting. You did a good job as a son or daughter, and you've become successful. And it's a separation completely. For 50 years of a separation or so, or 30 years, you still a lot of birthday, Thanksgiving, Christmas. That's it. And we stay separated like that until the parents become old, and the cycle is cyclical, the circles turn, and the parents need help and need to be like treated like babies. They need diapers changed, they need you to help clothe them and shower them. And what do? Because we were pushed off, we go, I'm successful now, here's a nice hospice home for you to go sit in, because I don't have the time in my life with my 5 kids and my 14-hour a day job and all the what I'm doing, and to show my love for you, instead of again coming back or taking care, I'm gonna send you over to here. Soup du jour, a la carte of the day, whatever's the best facility, and then I'm good again. I'm the good kid. And what I'm trying to, not on the other side, here's where we know it's supposed to have happened. It came back from thousands of years ago when we were all tribal, no matter how you look at it. We came from our own small families that grew into the world, into
right.
become races and nations. And we started it without electricity, and we were in small communities that were cousins and brothers and sisters, and they stayed together and always worked together and helped each other. In other culture like India, and I don't mean to pick on any culture, this is just one of my favorite because it's so prevalent. This is from 1970s. You ever been to a 7-Eleven? You ever heard of a 7-Eleven? You ever heard of that store? I think a lot of people have. It was the one of the earliest nighttime small, not grocery, what do you call them? Convenience store to go in and get something. Okay? Open from 7 to 11, 7-Eleven.
It was
You
like the franchise bodega,
Exactly. Now, the Indians and have owned over years that whole franchise. And
pretty
how did they
much.
do it? First of all, they were able to come over to this country and become a citizen. Very difficult to do. Then they had their family come over. They left their own country with family, came over and lived poorly together. Five of them got one apartment, and then they got jobs, and then they made a little bit of money, and then they got two apartments or a bigger apartment, and they stayed together. And then after a year's time, they had 10 grand put away, and they put the most senior family brother, cousin, the oldest one,
Mhm.
he gets to go to school down there at the American school and get his little degree, or at the same time, or they put the money together and they put the $30,000 down payment on a 7-Eleven. And all of a sudden they owned one, two, five, 10, 100, and they kept owning more and more because they got a conglomerate system going, and they would loan to each other and help their families next come up, can staying together. And we as Americans, completely the opposite. Send them out, show the independence, show your, and we stay apart from each other for 50 years, other than birthday, Christmas, and Thanksgiving and New Year, Easter. That's it. That's it. That's more than enough time to go see your family. And a lot of times as soon as we leave state, hey man, what's up with the Zoom meeting? Here we are, just like this. This is as close as we gonna get as family.
Right, right. But
But
you
you
think about how that works, like even in, your municipalities. You come into a community, which was one of the other reasons we started looking at these things. First the library,
tribal,
not
right?
because we're in communities, but are we truly
But
doing
we're
all the
not.
things that are commensurate with being in a community?
No,
Are we actually experiencing and doing the fullness of what that community could be for us, living to the potential of the community and our involvement in it?
I think we're doing what's most interested for ourselves first, because time is so precious unless you big bagging. And anybody
Mhm.
spending time like we are here most of the time are not big bagging. And if we are, then we're bragging about the bagging. You know what I mean? Sitting on some, you in anything that you're seeing, or you don't, you go into obscurity, you disappear.
But
So
let me jump in on that for something that's relevant to to what happened last night. One of the items that came up in the research, was that some of these positions, they don't pay very much. You had pointed out, wow, in Florida, some of these positions are not paid, but in, anything, and
there,
in
there was
California,
one assemblyman or something got paid nothing, and it's 137 in California, 137,000.
which
Now
is
I
below
think
the poverty line, by the way.
that's not funny either. That
It's kind of funny. No, no, it's not. It's
that's
not funny.
ridiculous.
It,
Let's
it, it,
let,
it's it's
let me
hard.
just say
It's
that
hard to hear that.
again. Did you hear that? 137,000 is a median. It's not poverty, but they're saying for you to get yourself a nice 2 bedroom, maybe a 3 bedroom place, small house, or a nice 2 bedroom condo or something, living good. You got all your bills paid for, all your internets and everything, groceries, maybe a couple, because you're in a couple
Mm,
bedrooms,
mm.
kids or whatever, and you're living the average life. You need to make $137,000 to pay that. Dude, rent for a place here, a 2 or 3 bedroom, it's like $2,000 for the box, for the garage or the box, and 1,000 to 1,500 for each room. So for nothing is 2 grand. You don't get no rooms. You would get a studio, a garage. That's 2 grand. If
Well,
you
you
want a
think
one
six
bed,
figures,
one
it
bedroom,
qualifies you for subsidized housing? That's pretty incredible to hear that.
that makes me think our dollar value is tanked. So who cares how much you make now? If you're not entrepreneurial, or you side hustling, or you double timing, you 16 hours a day on something else, you gonna be this at the fray, and I'm sorry, I'm saying it, it's not nice. You're gonna be at the just getting by stage. I don't see anymore. We used to have a middle class that was so strong from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s into the 90s when we had tech boom that was able for people to make money so quickly in fiber optic speed, which was able to have people hack into things and scam people so easily. And those ways of making money, it seems like to even today, unless someone is literally a worker, it's in their blood, it's innate about them. The whole mindset is, how do I make money? And I'll spend a lot of time on figuring this out. A lot of time. How do I make money by not working? I'm gonna spend 10 hours a day to figure out how I make money on not working on this recurring income. I just got to think of a product that everyone can use and like, and I'm set for life. And I agree with that because money, to not ever think about money again would be a great thing. I think we all as human beings, as a right, should be able to experience 1 week out of 52 every year that poor, someone said, I don't know if it was Tupac or somebody had
Mhm.
mentioned that every poor person should be able to be rich, and rich people not necessarily should be poor, but at least should not be able to spend any money during that week. They need to understand what it is to not be able to, hey, I need this, I need that, I give me, bring me, give me. You ain't done. You got 10 minutes. Man, where's my shit? Yeah,
Yep.
try not being answered when you make millions of dollars and you don't have an assistant and handing you coffee and giving you all the stuff that they do. You real quick, you become appreciative when you don't have people at your beck and call.
But here's the
And
context for some of for some of this. If you have to otherwise be well-to-do or retired to hold some of these positions that have actual authority, where does that put the average citizen in terms of their civic engagement and their ability to participate democratically in the process, really? Because some of these positions, they had a something, I forgot how they termed it, something that was brought to the floor, a motion or whatever, to raise salaries, for $20,000, because apparently these
council
some of these
sitting,
positions, yeah, some of these
because it
positions were
costs
supposedly part-time, but they ended up being full-time work, and they
right,
were only 29,000 or
right.
44,000, and that's, that I don't even know if that's minimum wage, at those numbers. Um,
That's so justifiable in my opinion. That's something that there should be a button on the council and on the floor or whoever's there in the building. If you were citizen enough to show up, you get a little button in the chair. It's just lights going on. We gonna address this tonight,
right,
today,
right.
not with the fix. The question is how many lights go on for everybody
Mhm.
pushing the yes. Are we going to address it tonight? Meaning by tomorrow we got some document that's getting
Mm.
drawn. Something is going on. We fixing
Right,
it
right. Well, they
now.
they did a fairly good job of addressing some of the issues. One of the things I really liked too was that you saw when the voting happened, and you saw the individual votes that people
Yes,
made. So, and I
yes,
feel like this is particularly important, especially at this time, where you're either on one side or not. It becomes too binary. The blue and the red, like you said, we need more purple. Like the blue, it's too much. So to me, you could you could be blue or red or pick whatever color you want, but if you see a granular view of how someone um votes on particular issues, like that detailed,
right,
I feel like it says more, does more to promote the value of our diversity, the
right.
opportunities for us to find common ground. Because
W-
I may be a Democrat and you're a Republican or whatever the
we
case may be, but we there's probably items that we agree on. So if we have
100%,
100 items, right,
a hundred
and
percent.
outside of that granularity, we're like, Hatfields and McCoys,
Right.
Crips and Bloods, dare I say.
It,
But if you looked at it granularly,
true.
wow, we agreed on 87 things. Like, that's not representative of, what we might be seeing.
here's what I'm starting to realize, and I think about it because I pray on this too. I pray
Mm.
that for our nation. I pray for people who I don't even know if I elected them in. Whoever's in charge of stuff, man, I'm just a lemming sitting at lollipop, letting it go. Don't even know whose vote, when the vote
Right,
is,
right.
what the vote is, and I'm living. And then I have the audacity to complain about it. That
That was the thing for me. That was the thing that
that's
made me
that's
really.
a little ah.
It
You
felt
know,
like a gut punch when we
I'm
didn't
the
do
one.
this.
You and me are the same. We voice out there that we really don't like that too much. That's not who. That's not the parties we like to go hang out at and stuff
It
like. We want
feels uncomfortable.
so uncomfortable it gets to the point of anger. It's getting you get me a little upset when I think about it. That's how uncomfortable it's like, man, I don't want to be in my own skin and operate like that. We're having to talk about it right now. And it would be if I didn't learn the little bit I know now, I would be so feeling so hypocritical inside to have an hour discussion like, yeah, we should be doing this and we should be doing that and changing this and fixing roads. I got that's lot of a
Well,
lot of
and the stuff
audacity.
you did, the stuff you don't know. So here's some really good news I find, that I found in all of this, and why I feel like this could be beneficial. There is a program right now in St. Pete that will, if I wanted to write this as a polarizing headline, it could literally give a qualified citizen $7,500 a year for 10 years. Sounds good, right? If you can find a way to get $7,500 a year for the next 10 years,
Uh-huh.
you know, that sounds pretty good, no? So what
To
it
me,
is, yeah,
what from what I'm learning and know,
yeah.
no, it doesn't sound pretty good because there's no one telling me for what happens in 10 years. So for 7,500 bucks, considering that where I'm at, it's 137, 7,500 bucks ain't going to really do much for me. So
Well,
unless
but
I
there's
mean,
more. But there's more.
okay,
But so
it's
like
better than
versus
zero,
nothing. Versus nothing was what I was really getting at. But the point
right?
is, there's actually a program here that will give you a zero interest second mortgage for a first time home buyer of up to $75,000. And if you live in the house for 10 years, you don't have to pay it back. Fully forgiven. Just knowing now, I don't know what the exact qualifications are, but here's the thing. If even one person can get that, that was worth doing the document, showing up at the meeting, because if you're that one, like, think about that. That's $75,000 in equity. I've never
That
even heard anything like that. I got to talk to
that's
my buddy Rich about
That's a
that.
win. That's a win-win. But Rich needs to know about that. I'm sure he does. But here's what happens with that: it's going to be a family that gets in. They're saying you live here 10 years, you don't got to pay it back. So we got census, populace, more people spending 10 years of their income back into our community. This ain't a loss of 75 grand from any government factor. We're guaranteed that we're going to have this people for 10 years. They're going to have children here. They're going to do the schools 10 years and then going to pay it back. If we don't get that to back that up, it's going to cost them 75 grand. If they want to leave in 10 years, it's it's going to cost you, we need to
But
have
at least
you
it's
pay.
no interest. But think about that. Even if you don't, even
It's
if
a
you do
good
have
plan.
zero interest, I mean,
It
come on, man. I mean,
it's a
that
good
is
plan.
a
It's free money, and I get what they're saying, but I see it from the back end. It's like, that too good to be true story. I don't want people thinking the government is so great. Them great Republicans, them
mm,
great whoever's running, them great
mm,
Democrat, whoever's doing that, they
mm,
just so great. What a great plan. Not necessarily look deeper into it. AI it yourself and then start mentioning it's about numbers and census. And if I'm a governor of a state,
mm.
the more people that I can give her. I'm in California. Do you know how many people have left California since COVID in the last five? I'm telling you, they can't take it no more. Their parents. Here's what really first happened. There was a decade of people got their inheritance. Their parents died. They got their house for under 100,000. This is Silicon Valley and everywhere around here. Back in the day, 70s, 80s, under 100,000. It's now worth 10x. It's worth well over $1 million. They're gold. They get to cash out. What happened was they forgot to do the trust, and their parents passed
Mhm.
on. They thought they got themselves $1.5 million house. But what happened was, since they didn't get it put into trust and do something legally that is offerable, but they didn't know about, they had to get a reappraisal of their home at 1.5 million and pay property taxes on that, which is $1,500 a month. And they had to sell the house.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
that's what happened for a long time until trusts were developed and put into place. But this, people living here in California, they moved to Florida, they moved to Texas, they moved to Iowa, they moved to Oregon, they moved to all kinds of states, but out of California to get away from this lockdown mode on it's all about money that we don't that you're not going to get to benefit from, because it somehow goes back into the system again. And back to the point of it's kind of gentrifying an area. If we can lock you
Mhm.
in for 10 years, it's no skin off of our nose as a municipality. We print money anyways.
Well, the fact is, I think at the end of the day, we need to better understand, to your point, AI it, figure out or ask the questions, go up to meetings. The mere fact that that exists, and I'm going to look into it further because I think it's a noble gesture at a minimum. And
Right.
hopefully, I would love to see, like, here's the thing. I said that and it is contextless. I haven't looked at this, but I will, and we will do this on our follow-up, especially to dovetail into when I attend your meeting in kind, just to
This is
see
our first
what it
this is our
is.
first Riverside, right?
This is our
So
first
now
Riverside.
it seems like it's working better. I think we had a few bumps in the road. I think, what we need to do. Is there a way that we can go on before we go live? Because what I
Yeah, we
noticed,
actually were on live before live, and then I hit the button, and there's still been some,
well,
kind of,
what I noticed
wonky
is that
things.
I've got a little action bar up here that's saying I have 99% of its upload, and it took 5 minutes for that upload start to go fully through in the recording. And as soon as that happened, all of my kind of bugs, my audio that was scratching and my video that
Mhm.
was kicking in and out, all that's gone away. So I just was saying
Well,
that
what
maybe.
happens, the way this works, which is what makes it amazing, is it's recording separately. So
Ah,
even though you're seeing the image you might be seeing is grayed out, is not the image on the recording. It's a
got
much because I'm literally, I don't know if you see it on your screen. I have a button that says here, actual recording is higher quality. It says it on my screen because I don't know if it's only because it's the studio we're in
No, I
my
have. I see I'm a guest. You're the host.
right.
My camera's got a red dot that I'm actually recording on my end, and
Right, yeah,
so
it
are you.
does. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it'll do it individually so that the quality is a lot higher, so you don't have the added issue of the bandwidth or whatever the case may be. But either
Right.
way, great product. I mean, I'm happy to see, us jumping into this, and I know we'll get better over time.
So
I
we can
like
share. We can screen share on this together. And here's the exciting part, ladies and gentlemen.
let them have it.
Well, we get to start showing some wonderful one page hookers of hook single pages of done documents, many hours spent on an individual subject matter that I myself, it's Nigel's at the helm of this work ethic, but I do have to reserve myself to making sure that it's actually it's workable, that it's feasible, people will like it, because I like it. And I've never really talked about anything like that. I figure like this, and Nigel's always called me like a litmus test. I'm new in technology, so if it's something's being built that I can actually use and work on, or it's helpful in any way, to me, it
What's faith if it's not tested? Like, so you think about what you have, what's being created, and
governance document.
Yep.
Anyone, anyone, anyone can use it. The library card, bro. A lot. I never knew until we started doing something like that that the library is so full of things. I was kind of anti-library because I was a builder, and here in our state where we're at, and even in my county, they spent hundreds of millions of dollars in my county on 7 brand new libraries that were easily the one I went to down the street to just stream yesterday. That was me and Gary talk about it. My uncle who's a 50-year contractor, retired now. We agreed it had to be a $30 million build. That's 2 people, 2 contractors that come up with the price without exaggeration. And that was at least, could have been 40. We got 7 of them that were done. What's 7 times 4? $280 million. Just, I'm kind of thinking a couple $100 million was just spent on these libraries. I was like, this is ridiculous. Fix the roads, build another lane on the freeway, get rid of traffic, dump it into schools, do something else with it. But the library program, I love it. It was saved. Whole library program was created and invented by Andrew Carnegie. If you know that, he started the public library system, bro. He started, and he had the most books at the time because he was just that kind of guy. He was that booky guy. He made a deal with every state in our nation and every county.
Mhm.
I will
I
build
think
this
that,
library for you, and if you promise that you'll sign paper that you'll run it and make it operational and it won't fail. So he would build the library for you, get the construction materials, and have it built if you agreed to run it without fail, no matter what.
well, you think
And that,
about it. I feel like what we're doing here, first of all, we're using it for ourselves. So, some of this, I'm going to admittedly say, is a selfish endeavor, and it's just one that we saw a
but I
need
never
for in our
knew.
own lives that we're using. Huh?
But I never knew. I never thought that I would. Like I said, I was against the library when I found out you spent all this money on building these new things.
Mhm.
Until I found out what they offer, and we have talked. It's not just books. They got study rooms, work rooms. They have big group rooms. They have
Recording
all
studios.
recording studios. They have all the high internet now. They have big giant screens, 80-inch screens that you can bring flash drives to. You can brainstorm with other people to start a business and go down to your library and use all of their media tools to do this. You have tools down there that I couldn't afford without it. It's amazing. So I have changed, and I am a complete proponent of the library. I went and got my library card. I've been there in the last month since I got my card a month ago. I've been down there. I've done 4
Mhm.
live meetings there. I haven't checked out any books, but I've looked on their online stuff a bunch of times and talked to a few people down there. So I'm meeting friends, sharing community, and using the availability of what was through a 30 million. So
Well,
everybody
that's
go
the
get
thing.
that
I
library
just
card. They're free.
Yeah, I just put
They're
yeah,
free.
I'm actually gonna put that up in there now, but I put the
Where's our
US
chat
elected
room?
official.
Wait,
Our chat room's on
where's
the
our chat room?
side.
I see it. I
Yeah, we
see
got a
it. I
studio
see it.
chat. Yeah, yeah. Do you
I
see a
see
link
it.
on the screen right now? Do you see a link up on the
Uh
screen right now? Or no?
for what? A link for something? No. There's nothing on the
Bentley
screen.
link
No, there's nothing on our screens except
in
for our
there. I don't know
handle
if it
names. And in the
because
chat room, there's nothing there yet.
I put something up a little while ago that was let's see. I had put
But I like that.
the settings in there that yeah, that's not it.
How come I can't
Um,
type a message?
hmm.
Uh,
But okay, so the one thing I wanted to, touch on before we come to the and we have a little time. I wanted to touch on just some of the things that we discovered in these documents, particularly, here in, St. Petersburg, which I found super interesting. So everyone thinks about their tax rate, right? And this is how it is in Florida here, like where I am. But you think, oh, my tax rate is going up, and you vote on the tax rate. But the things that we don't understand with some of these other positions is like the utility boards. They don't need they need basic mayor and city council to say yes, increase the
Right.
utilities. So if your taxes remain flat or even, dare I say, get lowered, but they're making up the difference in your utility bills, it's not what it's like. And there's some of that in here, So I feel like the context is what this project is really about. But if you don't know the substance, if you don't have the source material, what context is not going to matter. You don't know. Like if you know the
Yep.
program exists, you can talk about it. So, like you, where you said we have sheriffs here too, right? We also
Yep.
have police, but we have sheriffs. The sheriff's authority is really interesting.
Oh, it's
And
totally different.
two
They
things.
they got a lot. Tell them my favorite. There's one of my favorite. It's my favorite, bro.
Well,
Listen,
there's two. I have two. You tell them yours, and I'll tell them the other because I know mine's the other one. Go ahead.
my favorite law that they still have in place has been from when sheriffs began. They are, if something happened in your community or wherever they are jurisdictional over,
Right.
and you had some mob rule go off, whatever, 50 youngsters going, they all want to do this thing together and they're going to pop off and raise mayhem over there at the local mall or something. And you only got, we got forced sheriffs in our little tiny community here. They can deputize anyone at any moment. And I find that to be the most, that's just crazy, because no police chief can do that, and no policeman can do that, and no one can make a citizen an immediate law jurisdictional law official. It's like I knight you. He just puts a couple hands over you, it does a little thing, and hands you the deputy badge. Man, you off and running. Oh, I feel pretty good now. You didn't know that you could have that. That's my favorite one. But
The posse comitatus.
man, I
Yeah.
thought that's incredible. They still have that, and it makes it, that's wild. That's Wild West. If you want to talk about Wild West,
And in layperson's terms, that's you calling up the homies.
bro, I got some friends. You calling the homies, you send the text out. That text is a document that is legal. You have now been deputized. Get your ass over to the station
And bring
as
the
fast
strap.
as, bring everything you got. Don't worry, you ain't getting pulled over. Ain't no one gonna stop you. Don't get in a wreck. Hurry your ass. You have been deputized.
So that's one, right? But here's the other one that was,
Hit him with the civic shot. This is the civic. It's the
dude,
civic shot.
that forfeiture thing. That one has me thinking that we are definitely not putting enough effort into how much time we're spending on electing a sheriff, because I'm not saying they're going to do this, but the mere fact that they can, like, it's kind of like this. I'm more comfortable in Florida with people owning guns simply
Well,
because since moving here, compared to New York and New Jersey, like the tri-state area,
right,
because here, you meet people and they're like, "Hey, you want to go to the range?" And I'm not, I'm not a gun guy per se. I'm not a gun guy, but I'm just,
right.
that's not my, But my point is, people are always talking about going to the range. They're actively practicing, which means that they will likely hit what they're aiming at. And as long as I don't exercise, acting ridiculous, I feel like I get a better chance of.
Man,
Conversely, conversely, my experience growing up in New York, it was what I lack in accuracy, I'm going to make up for in volume. Not a good mix. So it just felt it felt a little different. But my point is, you don't give someone a loaded gun that is not, you know, that is not responsible enough for it. So that rule
I
means that
agree
they
with
can,
you.
if they pull you over, and let's say just went to the bank. You know, I said, "Hey,
Right.
I'm going to sell you my boat. It's $40,000. I only take cash." Right? Cool. You go to the bank.
Right.
Get your 40 grand after 7 days wait because they gonna hold you hostage. Inside joke, people. You can't just go to your bank and say, give me 40 grand. That's just typically not how it works. You know, anyway, I digress. So you're in your car, you're heading over, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna get my boat. Sheriff decides, look, if it isn't as I live and breathe, it's Dan Hammond. Mhm.
Oh no,
How's
not
it
Dan
going?
here.
And real polite. How's it going, sir?
Right.
Fine, officer. Great. So now he's like, that looks like a pouch from the bank. What do we got there? And don't bother to talk spicy because remember he armed. So,
That's
anyway,
money.
he's like,
I got my check cashed. I just
oh, you
got my
got money. Where
about
did you
50,
get that money from?
about 50 grand. I just cashed a check at the bank.
You have what kind of specific proof you have of that? You have
Oh
proof
yeah.
that you
That
get you
was
can't like because I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just that kind of guy, skeptical.
I
I think
wait,
that's
what?
drug money
Wait, oh, wait, what did I get pulled over for again?
for
Why did
being
you
Dan
pull me
Hammond.
over? Oh, because
For
I'm
being
Dan
Dan
Hammond.
Hammond.
Yeah, I ain't answering
Because
nothing. You ain't got no
you got to
rights.
after. Well, okay, fine. You don't have to answer, but that looks like drug money. So here's what we're gonna do.
Well, let's get a
You
we
can
can do
stay
that.
silent.
Let's get a supervisor.
Well, you can call him over too. There's no. It's a sheriff.
Well, I want the president.
Well, he down with it too. He down with the golden fleece too. He's like, I think
He's
that's drug money.
down with the golden fleece. You just gave it all away now.
I think that's drug money. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hold on to that for you,
Yeah, I'm gonna take and
right?
hold it for you. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
You gonna hold it for
And
me. You can
it's not a
sign
problem.
for it.
I give you a little
You can
slip. You give me
you can
40
sign
grand,
for it
and I
if
give you this.
you
If
want to
you want
claim
it
it.
back,
Yeah, if you want to claim it.
I'll see you in civil court, not criminal, because I don't need to prove you did anything. I just
No,
need to say
you
I
need to prove.
suspect.
You need to prove to me. I'm gonna hold it for you. You need to prove to me that you earned it, that you paid taxes on it, that yeah, it did come out of a check account like you just claimed it was, since you didn't have the slip with you. So I'm gonna take that for you. And what 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Yeah, that was illegal money, 50 racks cash. You know what I mean? You open up some of those bills and they immediately roll up into a circle. Because
But my point is, we can go all day on this. But my point is,
they've been trained in a specific configuration of bill in circles. You're like, yeah,
they were using Grok super heavy for the for the white
super
powder.
heavy,
Right. So,
super heavy.
but my point is, they decide that money is
That's funny.
illegal, and they decide that money looks way better in the
Their hands.
slush fund of their budget than
Oh
it
yeah.
does for you purchasing your boat.
Oh
So
yeah.
now I'm calling you, Danny. Where you at? I got pulled over. All right. So you come in with the 40 grand? It's like, well, the sheriff has it.
Right.
The sheriff's buying my boat? Maybe. Because
No,
I can't.
the sheriff has it in this new Escalade he just got. That's what it is. Check this out with the guns thing. I'm an avid gun. I've shot thousands of rounds. Let's put it
Okay.
that way. I got 2 pistols. They're both 40,
Okay.
40 gauge.
Okay.
I worry because even me, the last place I had it had its own gun range. Legitimate range was built. It's a 4-foot tube that was 4 feet across. We built it, or not we. When I moved in, it was there. They built to the side of his mountain and the side of his hill, and it was 100 feet long, and had the air system in it to suck air from where you shot all the way through the back because of gunpowder. It's bad. So it would suck. The air would suck back. Had lights down there and a revolving sliding system on
Mm.
a wire that would, just like all gun ranges do, they
Right,
set a
right.
distance for a
Mhm,
target. It was a legit gun range and quiet. So
mhm,
neighbors, it was up on a hill and
mhm,
the, rural area. But the point I'm trying to get to is me having that for 9 years I lived there. I was able to shoot a lot of rounds. And what
mm,
I'm trying to get to is this: it took me years to understand, man, I was in there a lot of times by myself and probably shouldn't shoot by yourself that many times.
mhm,
Shit can happen. I've dropped the gun because I played scenarios in my head so many times.
mm,
I have my bullets sitting there, an empty clip, and the
mm,
gun. And it was like, okay, someone robbing the house. I just woke up. Oh
mm,
shit. Unless if you need to reload, like I'm doing scenario, how long is it? Hit the
mm,
stopwatch on the phone. Go.
mhm, mhm.
Okay, shit. I'm
Right, right,
popping,
right, right,
I'm
right.
popping 15 bullets into the clip. And I don't need that because you only need to, but what would you do? So I'm like playing these
Mm,
scenarios.
mm.
It didn't happen, but a couple of
Yeah.
times I almost had some misfires where I'm like loading and putting the clip in and I'm gonna rack the gun real quick to get
Mhm,
a cartridge to go. And in all of that and loading and all this, and it's like, getting close to a minute, 52 seconds or whatever.
mm,
And then I'm going to rack and I drop it comes out of my hand. And
mhm,
I was the tube that we had was almost at waist height. So the gun only
mhm,
fell a foot and on a pad. Nothing happened to
mhm,
my gun. Great. But I mean, at the least damage, you hurting the gun.
mhm,
Dude, I thought, oh, the bullet could have went off as I went to rack. I lost the gun out of my hand because I was hurrying, trying to
mhm,
time myself, not thinking about gun.
mhm,
I'm making this. The point I'm trying to get to is it took me a long time to realize all these gun owners, unless you go to multiple classes or shoot thousands of rounds and have incidents where these things play through your head where you're trying to do a scenario. And I realized, and I did a thing, and the gun came out of my hand and like did a flip. It could have like went off and
mhm,
killed me right there in my little own gun
mhm,
chamber, be dead. And it happened a couple times in those scenarios. So I chilled out, but it took me a long time, a good year, a good 500 to 1,000 rounds, easy to figure out that, you know, you can go buy a gun and it's all cool and shoot at the gun range, but you've never been, you all calm, chilling. You probably smoked a doob before you went in
mhm.
or whatever. It ain't real world. You play in this automated game simulation.
Right,
And when
right,
the
right.
shit goes down, first of all, there's only two kinds of people: people who will shoot and people who most likely won't. And even if they own guns or not,
Mm-mm,
it's hard to go like that in someone's face and
mhm,
then go, "I'm killing you.
mhm.
I'm killing." It's
Well,
hard to do.
responsible gun ownership is a thing, and they were talking about that last night where, we have some new open carry, um,
That's right.
laws that came
But
up,
it's
and
not just a thing. They should
it
have
it became
everyone.
a thing in our libraries, in Tampa at one point. I remember talking to the librarian when I was, how I found out about the library is I happened to start going, and this was years ago, and realizing they had a studio and talking to the librarians,
How
they were
long have you had
saying
your card? How long have you had your card? Because
probably like 3 or 4 years,
you
something like
told
that.
me about the Libby app.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I need
Well,
to I
well,
need
here's the
us to
thing.
I need us to go over that right now. Let's
Yeah.
do that right now.
Well, in your local library, like a lot of us have Audible or, like, we listen to audiobooks. Your library has these apps. They have magazines. They have books. Like you can download 30 audiobooks at a clip, like to up your
Yeah.
knowledge. And they have LinkedIn Learning paid. Not every library has the same thing. When you run the prompt for it, you can see what your
What they
particular
offer.
library has. Right,
Right.
and I think it's an important thing to take advantage of resources that your tax dollars have paid for. So the Libby
Did you
app
get
will
new libraries? Did you get a remodel, or have they remodeled yours or upgraded yours recently?
yeah, in fact, we have one opening this week. It was
Okay.
renamed and remodeled, the Barack Obama,
Bro, I saw
library.
that last
Yeah,
night
yeah,
on the
yeah,
Thrive
yeah.
feed.
Yep.
Okay, that had me. So this was a federal, if they right here in my county, not the
Mhm,
state, bro, not the state, my small county. They did 7. They spent over 200 mil on these buildings. And what they spend in California, I don't know, a billion? What was the federal fundage for all libraries nationwide to be rebuilt? That one that you saw that I saw
Mhm.
yesterday for years, the
Yeah,
Barack, that's beautiful, dude. That's
yeah.
beautiful.
Did a
The
nice
the
job.
front the front moniker, just the sign, that thing's 20 grand. It says Barack Obama, but I
Mm.
mean, big time money. Hey,
And that's not even a big one because the one in Tampa, the it's the Jackie F Germany, like
is the
this
big
thing
one.
is massive. It's right across from the Strauss
It's,
Center
it's
where we
three
have
stories. Now
the
you got
art.
levels, right? Levels.
It's got a lot of rooms. It's got the studio. It has a 3D printer. It has a bunch of stuff. But my point is, it. I asked the librarian. I was like, "Well, this place seems empty. I've been here. I was coming every day for a long time." And she was like, "Yeah, more people don't really know it. I wish I got more people to to participate in it." And it's unfortunate that there have all these services that people are simply not aware of. And what happens is two things. One, it's not being used, not helpful. And the second thing is you get a group that categorizes not knowing the same as not willing. And it's not
Right,
the same. You educate people, you make them aware. I mean, it's not ignorance, it's not willful ignorance, it's just that I don't know. So to me, when you maybe you're paying $20 a month for Audible or 10 bucks or whatever the case may be,
right,
library has it for free. Have we seen the cost of magazines like Consumer Reports, which could be helpful? Which,
right,
by the way, shameless plug, we're going to be doing a review, document pretty soon. Like, you could just go get it there. So
right.
if you have resources at your disposal and you're hemorrhaging money at a time where things are going up, inflation and everything else, maybe you can save a little. Maybe you will qualify for the $75,000 loan. Maybe you didn't know the sheriff can uh you know seize money, and you have this whole big thing to do. And I'm not saying that like they're bad people. I'm just saying that it's possible. I feel like when we know better, we do better, and that's what we're all about, like doing better. So whether it's a download of an audiobook or just seeing what your local how your money is being spent in your particular counties, that to me is important because and it's how it touches how each of the things connect together. It's not in a vacuum where you're like, oh, you spent this much on that and why'd you spend it? But what does it do? What are these things costing? Because nothing's free. Like I'm not saying that,
No, no. There's free. There's free. We doing this right now.
this is
People are going to be able to get links and things that are free coming from like real live people
but we're paying, but we're definitely paying in
stories.
terms of time. So but
Real.
here's the good news. You're gonna win with the documents we're creating on the arbitrage of time 100%, because the time that was spent to do it, you're not going to have to spend. You can just run the prompt and you can get a result, and we're going to make it available so that we can answer questions, because the more we do together, the better it's going to become for everybody.
I'm the guy who knows that there's very few people who will do that kind of spend that kind of time on that kind of work. First of all, I'm a contractor. I'm a hands-on
Mhm.
tools level building stuff. Just all tweaky tweaky. Um, Working on a document for hours, doing having being a research person or an analyst, looking at numbers or words or datas or things like that. That's a skill on its own, and I think that people who are in that world, they like it. That's just, and people who aren't
Mhm.
do not like it. It's very very binary, that technical, going deep in and liking to sit in front of something and getting floods of data. How many reviews did you do? Oh, I'm going to go buy some new shoes. How
Mhm.
many reviews do you look at? You're going to be all proud. Yeah, I read 10 reviews, man. 10, that was a lot. It took me like 5 minutes to read 10. I didn't just read the first 10. I looked for the most stars. I kind of spent
Mhm.
10, 15 minutes on that. Hold on, I ain't going to spend more than 10, 15 minutes to look for shoes,
Right.
but And so you're already like talking about a review. Where'd you get the best review from? Where'd they come from? Did spending time to look up something,
Mhm.
unless people get paid specifically for it, and I'm talking six figures, or it's the bottom
Mhm.
of the base, like telemarketing or something. You got to do it. It's waitressing or telemarketing or something like that. No, people don't like doing it. So when you were saying, and I spent 2 minutes on this right now, you're talking about people don't have time to do it. They won't. I don't want to unless you're getting paid for it. Fortunately for me, it's a time in my life of getting. I've left my construction industry, so I'm finding I have time to do something else. Not a lot of people I know are in my position. So that's why I feel it's not just the time, it's the work that was done. And if you gave me something for shoes right off the bat and I knew I could trust it, I'll click it, especially if it's free. If it came what cost me $5 or $10, but I got 10% off my shoes,
That's right.
I'm back to no loss again. I supported your project. I got my savings on my shoe, so it's still not costing me anything. I might have even saved 5%. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right, right.
So there's these ways of coming together. I, I didn't believe in it. I'm like, honestly, best way I can put it here in this conversation. I just said it about the library. I was anti-library a minute ago, and all of a sudden, the hypocrite. I got my card. I've been down there 5 times. I've reserved the study rooms 3 times already for an
Okay.
hour. You can reserve them any day. You only get 1 hour, but if no one comes to the room when you're still
Right.
there, you can stay for two. That's
Right.
our rules. Then they have big study rooms where their workspaces where like they'll hold 50 people.
Right.
So I'm saying this is crazy. We go getters, not big maxis with a big
Mm,
bank account like that.
mm.
If you got an idea and you have other like minded from your church or your bingo or whatever it is, the two of you and the three of you can go down to the library, cup of coffee and a bagel, and sit with each other. And they have whiteboards there. You can brainstorm with these tools that only fortunate people who were entrepreneuring, that maybe they got $1 million fund that came in,
Right.
so they were able to, go and get an office and get the internet and get the free internet and get the 80-inch screen TV and the big 6-foot whiteboard and all the markers and
Mm.
all this stuff. And man, the library has right here in mine has all that for you. It's
Well,
free.
it's no one's saying it's easy, but the fact is, if you have these resources at your disposal, in some way, the effort
Right,
that you would put, that you put in to do it, and again, not saying it's easy. I'm not going to insult anybody with that. I'm just saying that it is possible, and it's better to know that it's there and not use it than to not know and then come to find out you had an idea, you had something that you can make work, and
right.
you didn't take advantage of it. Because there was even one other thing that I wanted to touch on specifically before we come to the close, is they were even talking about how there's elected officials in Congress to help you with government funded projects, and there's a phrase, and I'll have
Are
to
they public
put it in.
offices or are you talking about nonprofits?
No, no, no. I'm talking about like so
Elected
like
officials.
yeah, if you there was there was a specific line that they talked about. Congressional inquiries take precedence. Like it's a statement that you say. So like if you're having problems with your VA benefits or um any sort of government program that you're actually qualified for, they're not going to change the law for you. But if you're
Right.
qualified for something
Social
and you've
Security,
applied,
VA
right,
qualifications,
and you're
and
not getting right, and you're not getting the help or the cooperation or the speed that you need. You call them up and you say, I don't remember the exact line, but it's something around congressional oversight, and it's all in the document. That will, and it's even in a podcast version that we have in there now.
is it the
It will
secret
tell
word?
you
I
what to
Is it a
say.
secret code
It's
word?
it,
You say
it's a
you
se- it's
say
like a
government
secret statement.
you say government document, and then
Congressional
and then you
oversight. Yeah, Yeah.
and they get you in.
You hit
Government
them with the congressional, um, inquiries take precedence or something like that. You have to give them, let them say you give up your not give up your privacy, but you allow them to use your records. But outside that,
right.
they will carry the torch for you because that's their job. They're literally people that are hired. Their whole job is to do exactly that, help citizens navigate the bureaucracy. I didn't know that. You and maybe everybody else knows, but I didn't know it. So I feel like these are the types of things where even if maybe with a busy life and not necessarily the most resources, this little time saved, this little arbitrage on time allows someone to participate in something that would otherwise be too challenging or more challenging. And that to me is worth the price of admission, especially when, even with just us doing things, think about this. We started this project. You actually attended the city council meeting. So
Oh,
it gives you
I had the
insight.
time.
We can
I
now
had the
share
time.
the different views.
Here, I had the time and I chose to, and I know I can stand on this all the time. I don't think a lot of people do. I myself, I'm going to say it. I'm a 5 percentile with time right now. I'm very fortunate that I have time to do things. I don't think that I'm using it as wisely as I should be, but I think that that would be the case. People that would have time, maybe you're not using it as. But the point I'm trying to get to is that's our biggest commodity, and I think that that's first of all the biggest and most helpful thing is we are able to actually give people their time back because these things have been
Mhm,
done on a professional level and has been spent,
mhm.
hours. That I would say each doc is minimum at finish level after drafts have been done. The finish level is a 4 hour draft, 4 hour draw. And some of the docs are 16, 20, 30 hours through completion. We've got sections of them that have been, it's revised so many times you just build a new doc out of it. And you could see
Well,
we
the
there.
thing is, to that, or whether it's an investment because it pays the dividends. Understanding how our government works puts us in a better position to use the resources. Like you almost can't even calculate that because if one person looks at this document that they didn't spend the time to do and say, "Holy smoke, I didn't know about this $75,000. I qualify." And boom, worth the
Right,
price of admission all day long. That's just
right,
how it and the thing is, as you do these things, the mere fact that you connect with other people who are doing it similarly, you start to see the connective tissue. So you can't even put a price on that because
right.
the cooperation that has to happen to make some of these things work in the proper way, I think is a much bigger get. And I'll even go even further and say this. A buddy of mine says this, reminds me of this all the time. They're no disinterest in this. You may not think that this particular project is worth investing the time in, and that's fine. The process by which this was created may be worth it if, like, a friend of mine who I did something similar for, who has Parkinson's disease, when it comes to something that's involving something more significant, that's more close to home, that's more live and direct. Because I would dare say that even if you're not interested in a library card or elected officials, if you're suffering from a particular ailment, I imagine that you will have far more interest in getting as much information to help with that condition as you can. And you would of the way the documents are created is a bigger it's a bigger value than the actual document itself. Not that the document, I believe it's still valuable, but once you start to understand how these things play together, how we can use technology to make our lives actually better outside of
Right.
e- truncated. We talk about this repeatedly, and we're going to keep talking about it. It's being scaled down. You're not going to have the same ability to continue to research the way we've been doing as a free for all. The
Oh, sure
energy's
you will. Sure
getting
you will.
more expensive
You're
at
gonna
a high
have it.
price.
At least at a price. People are going to get very upset. I think people are already seeing it now. You're throttling down my AI.
Mhm.
What I've realized, it takes me time now, but I'm starting to try and use it, uh more of them instead of using one. It doesn't matter what I'm prompting, even if I'm
Mhm.
prompting. I did one about a surf report the other day. It was just small. It was like a one-page thing.
Mhm.
But instead of just using the chat or the one that I use, I just send it through all
Right.
of them, because I think that the more you use them, the more it works with you. If there's actually something
Right.
happening between your own IPO on your computer that you're using, that's sending to whatever AI platforms, it's saying this guy's using it, this guy's using it. Let them have help them, let it figure it out better,
Mhm.
or whatever. The more you use it, the more it congrues with your thoughts. It really does. It'll follow you.
Right.
If you do a prompt and you figure something out, it gives you the wrong answer, and you got to say, no, that's not what I wanted. Here's what I wanted. And it does it again. And you say, no, that's still not it. You give it an example, take a picture of something, send an example to it. Then it really will figure it out. And most likely you're not going to have that problem again with that AI, with that particular situation. The next time, the next day that you ask it to do that function, it's going to understand that you had two requeries, and then you had to send it an example, and it's going to remember that because it's off that computer address. And this is the Web3 world we live in. Everything that is functioning in Web3 that we're using is off of this right here. I just lifted it. It's this computer that I'm using that has an
Mhm.
address that is going into a database center
Mhm.
on all kinds of places, Web 2, Web 3, but they're using that as, that's your data. So whatever
Mhm.
we continuously query about, if we're talking about government, it's going to be able
Mhm.
to archive government things. So later, when we start talking about again, or we do an upgrade,
Mhm.
it will be more susceptible to giving us a better answer because you keep using it. I'm finding this out for me specifically. I didn't use Claude for a couple few months now. I might as
Mhm.
well start it over. I mean, it don't even know who I am, what I'm talking about. Like brand new, like it was the first day it rolled out. And it's just like, huh? What? What do you mean? Oh,
Well, it changes so fast. Like I was telling you, I was mentioning this to you. Like I was finding
it
problems
was
with
frustrating.
ChatGPT
It was literally
consolidating. Yeah.
frustrating.
Well, it's more frustrating when you think you've gotten it to work and then it starts acting brand new all over again. Like I
Right.
thought I had Gemini down to a science in terms of consolidating documents. And then on this more recent US elected official, I tried to consolidate something and it just did not. It just wasn't there. So I had to go back to ChatGPT, which formally wasn't doing as well. So I don't know if they switched, you know, schemas or whatever it is, but
I
it
don't
was
think
like
so.
I'm in
And
bizarro world.
and I don't think the data that's there now, because everything when we use, you use Grok. Grok's
Mhm.
servers are who's working with you.
Mhm.
Chat GPT's servers aren't working with you at that time. That's why they
Right.
have these, but still the data is being pulled, I believe, just like what happened with Perplexity or Anthropic. Remember when they
Mm.
didn't buy the rights to the Google thing from Reddit or something? Remember when it was
Yep.
Perplexity, right? Or
Right.
somebody
But
did they didn't buy the rights to the, what was it? Was it the Answer the Public?
well, what happened? It was scraping.
Right. Off of
I laugh
off
at
of
this.
It's not funny. They
Right.
were scraping off the web too, and Google and Microsoft, didn't they both come at them and say, "Hey, you can't scrape off of us
Because no, well, here's
without
no, they
paying us
paid.
without paying us 60 grand a month or something crazy, and then we'll let you come into our servers and get our data." See, this is why I thought Gemini is and Bing, I thought these two are going to kill it. It's not going to be checked because Google has more data de facto than any other business or entity or anything on this planet. I don't care
But the
in what.
scraping, but here's the thing, the scraping is real. Here's what I found funny and why I was laughing.
It ain't funny.
You've been taking people, it's funny to me. You take people's data, right? And you say you upload, I'll upload, we upload, stuff to Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And then they go, that's ours now. We're mad if somebody takes our data now, mine and
Oh,
yours actually. So to me, when the
people don't
shoe's
even
on the
know
other
that.
foot, yeah, but
People
here's the
don't.
thing. I think we're delusional in that way, bro. They want to
People don't know.
feel,
People don't know that they post and it goes into your library and it's from your photos and all that
but
stuff.
it's their
And
data to them.
people don't know it hasn't clicked that once they put it into Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever you're putting it in, the moment you put it into your library is what they're calling it. See, you still think it's like we're fooled. We fool ourselves. We think it's our camera roll, our library. We have control over the pictures. The moment we send a picture to a social media, it's theirs.
Well,
See,
this is where it gets good and why I'm laughing because
I
now the
know.
shoe's on the other foot. Because Anthropic
Hey, you sent it. What
was
would make
like,
you what would make you think that if you go and use someone's pool, a public pool or something that's public that you use that is paid for, some other thing, it's not private, that it's like you have private rights. It's a
you know what
it's
that sounds like
it's a public pool. You don't have private
though?
rights. You don't get to tell
You
anybody.
using a pool example? This is going to resonate from our upcoming, Book of Danny series. What you just described is this. Hey, Danny, you want to come over and use my pool? And you come into the pool, and I'm like, well, I guess I own Danny now. We went back to slavery now because you're in my pool. That's mine.
Right. And you're in
You
it,
when
so
you
you're
went into
mine.
the pool,
Right.
yeah, when you went into the pool, I
Willingly.
got your birth certificate. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So now you became, 12 years as a slave.
I
That's
own
it.
you. That's right.
Because it's my pool. But what
That's
Anthropic said was, oh, everybody in the pool. So if it's out there, then it's free game. And it's
yeah,
not yours. You could
me in the pool too. No, but
what
anyways, they got
it
they
makes
got
sense
busted.
though.
Remember, they got busted. They got a cease and desist, and they got
We
a bust.
we, we got to see if that actually has legs. Because here's the thing. Think about this. Anthropic goes all our stuff, right? And then Facebook says, you've taken our data.
And
Your data?
Anthropic is Claude, by the way,
Yeah, but think about this. They say they take all our stuff. We have no rights.
well, that's what they do
Anthropic is like that's Danny and Nigel. We took their stuff. No, that's ours. How? Like,
because they took it. The moment I took it, it became mine. Ergo, I took.
so they came invited you to their pool, and now I'm mad. You
Right.
came to my pool, which was ergo slavery, and you decided they're like, hey, I got a better pool over here. Mine's Olympic, and it's got the fresh water thing. So now they came and said, yo, why don't you come out of the pool? So now
Right.
I'm mad. Yo, what are you doing? Danny, 12 years as a slave. What, you didn't see the movie? It doesn't matter that he's not actually a slave. According to my EULA agreement,
Oh no.
which you check the box.
Oh no. Not the EULAs.
Come on now. Isn't that the way it works? Isn't
And
that the way it works?
it is. And then
You
and
go
then
into the
for any
pool,
for
and
any of
now it's
those who
ownership.
might hear or listen to that, a EULA agreement is the EULA, and that stands for an end
End
user
user license agreement,
license agreement. And what that means is
which, by the way,
when you buy a product, if you use it in any way that is not in that license agreement, ergo to throw it at someone's head and bust their head open because it's a shovel, you're supposed to dig with the dirt. You didn't follow the end user's license agreement to just dig dirt with the shovel. You used it as a multi-tool. You hit homie in the head, knocked him out. Then you dug the hole, and
To
then
put him in.
yeah, you used it and then you covered it back up. Yeah, it was a multi-tool. That's not what it said in the T. So now
You weren't supposed to do that. Naughty,
you broke
naughty.
the law. Broke the law. That's right. We
But
have
good news.
consequences.
Speaking, we spoke about 7-Eleven, and ironically, that's going to be the starting point of our end user licensing agreement, policy notice, and privacy notice, project
Let
that
me
we're going to
ask.
be
Let me
working on,
ask
which
you.
should be good.
Let me ask you this because we're at and it just is coming on me. Have you had the conversation or heard the conversation near you happening about how many Indians and not Pakis, but Indians specifically, because there are millions of them, have owned convenience stores and gas stations in the United States as a like as a high percentage? Gas
Well, I
station
don't even
owners
think.
and convenience stores, specifically 7-Eleven, but those type of stores. And oh, by the way, now we have the combo gas station convenience store, and that's their jam. It's
Well, we're
over.
gonna have to do the metrics now that you brought it up, because I think that is a skewed metric, because again, 7-Elevens and those are franchise models. But think in New York City, you have a block that has four corners. There's four bodegas.
A
They're like right across.
bodega's just a little store of everything, little knickknack or what, right?
Think about a 7-Eleven on a corner of every apartment building. That's it in New York. You know, they're everywhere. And they're
Because
right across the street.
they
Of
need to
course,
be. Because it's cold out there, windy, dangerous, and everything else. And if I come down my big high rise building
I
and
need
I
to
can
eat.
go to without leaving the building, hey, my first pick,
Cigarettes.
everything.
Soda pop,
Hey,
Pampers.
how about the breakfast restaurant at the bottom of the of the big.
Well, think about
You got
COVID. How
you get
bad
to
it
eat,
was.
you get to eat and buy little groceries. The only thing they don't have there is produce because produce is so time sensitive.
Some of them do. Some of them do, depending on where you are. But here's the thing. I remember when COVID hit and folks were in New York, you had these office buildings with these delis at the bottom. The numbers these delis were doing with that many people in the building, when that building was empty because people were working from, they were done.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's why
it's
it was such
down.
outrage.
They lost everything because they rely on. It's crazy how this is why I know that other countries, and you and I have been to other countries that have proven this to us, that let you be known. You Americanos are some spoiled ass people thinking all this, throwing away trillions of dollars of food every day. $30 breakfast like it ain't nothing today. You eating out on the cheap. If it ain't fast food, you spend $100 breakfast, lunch, dinner, no problem. You spend $30 on tips today's world in today's money. 30-40 on tip buying yourself a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'm talking about a bagel egg sandwich, and it ain't four course. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, we can say what we want, but the fact is,
I
even
was just
even in these things that
I'm
we're
just
doing,
pointing out
I
the fact of convenience. We are such a race, a melting potted race, American. It's any color, anyone living here legally. It's a huge melted pot of whatever goes, big stew. You know, get in where
well,
you fit in.
I would be interested to see what the demographics look like in terms of the ownership of these items, because again, you don't know, like, whether it's how long you spend on apps on your phone, or how many people own a particular thing, or how long it took them to save. I think that once we start looking at the data, the connective pieces between things, we're going to start acting like we actually are a species that is capable of critical thinking. I feel like there's the opportunity for us to get back to that, which is important. And I don't think it's being used enough because we're not we're not even acknowledging the stuff that's in front of us. At some point, this has to be, this isn't making sense anymore, with just
Right.
not knowing and complaining. And I'm not even saying that even knowing some of these things we could do a little better, and that's great that we could do a little better, but it's still not negating the fact that things are getting more challenging. Like you and I probably experienced home ownership that our children will not, like the ability to buy homes in our lifetime that our children probably will not experience.
Not where I'm at, man. You need to be a millionaire to buy a home where I'm at. It's not you need to eventually make a million. You need to be a millionaire to buy a home. They over $1 million, so all you're talking about is literally putting down, you're talking about putting down a 50, 70%, 80%, you know,
Right.
down payment. It's not the purchase of the house. You still owe after $1 million. So you better almost have it. And if you're gonna finance that, that's the
Mm.
American dream. I think what you were saying, the 10 years, $75,000.
If you
That's
can
how,
get it,
if you
if you
if you can get it. I think it's to a thing to where people don't, even young people that are going to buy a house, they don't really get the one they want because that shit costs a lot of money. That's like the third house for people if they move like that. By the time you first house when you young 20s or whatever, maybe 30s, and then it wasn't, it's a condo and you needed a house, but it was something that got you going and you and earned equity. So you sold the condo for 3x. Now you took that and
Mhm.
you bought a nice little 3 bedroom or whatever house, and then by the time you were done buying homes when you were 45 and 50, you were able to accumulate capital gains after all that shit and paying all that mortgages and stuff, to where you were able to sell one and actually get the house that you not maybe not always wanted, but at least the one that you're comfortable with all your life. The final one to your death day. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Which
I
is,
was talking to Rich and he was telling me like in the Hamptons now, like, like a few million is like
dude,
that's
three
nothing. Like
million,
you're not getting a dream. You're if you want the dream house in the Hamptons, you need 10.
10. Yeah, I
10.
said it
And that might
first,
be a little less. I mean, we didn't go on metrics, but we'll have to
bro.
talk to him and get an
Bro,
actual number on that.
You're talking about closing costs for the real estate agent. You ready?
Here it comes.
On the 10 mil, you get 5 points. You a half a millionaire selling a $10 million home. I don't know what you did other than maybe you looked like you a supermodel, man or female, but
Well, think
but
about this. We were talking
but
about this when I was there. Those houses that
bro,
are empty,
a
the houses
half
that are empty
a half
by the
million
beach.
on commission. You getting a half million on commission. Here's the thing. I'm working for 5 years on a house to make a half mil. 2 hip replacements. Okay. Back done. Both shoulders. It's over. And yeah, wasn't able to save, you make it. I'm just saying. I'm hypothetical. I don't see anything in it. But again, you and I talked about it. What's the price of something? Well, it seems to be whatever I can convince you to pay. So there is no price gouging. We had the COVID. Remember, the president had to come out and say there will be no price gouging out here, you guys. Do you remember in COVID? Did you guys have a toilet paper shortage almost?
Oh, like people were losing
Dude,
their minds. Like, come on.
dude, people having fist fight, women fist fighting in aisle 7 over the last 20 pack of Charmin.
Well,
It's a
it kind
big
of happens. It's not that bad, but it kind of happens here whenever there's a hurricane warning. Like you go in
yeah,
and I remember
candles,
having the
batteries.
like you got your friend, and this is where community becomes important, right? So I remember us going out to get supplies for the hurricane that was coming, and it was like, "Hey, I'm at Sam's. You need water? They just got a pallet in because they didn't have. Let me get you a pallet, or let me get you like a case."
I like homies
But
going
you
there
know,
and they
like
buy. I like the homies going there and buy the whole shelf of batteries. They get home and they start texting their homies saying, "Bro, they out of batteries down there, but I'll tell you what, I picked up 2 packs for you, bro."
yeah, they're going the same price as the prison commissary. So if they're $2 in the store, they're $80 in
Bro,
the vending.
I'm telling you now. Hey, I just found out that cigarettes have hit the commissary cost in California in the 90s for jail. In other words, used to be able when I went into my minimum little stint that I had back in the way back in the day, you get a cigarette for and oh, they were illegal then too. You no smoking in jail. They stopped that in 92. So there's a lot of cigarettes in the yard. Always Camel non-filter because first of all, no filter. So the pack was real tiny short, and
Mhm.
no, they didn't keister or anything, but
Yeah.
they were small, so a small pack, easier to get in, throw over the
Mm.
fence, whatever it is. Again, I was at a hotel, what they call a minimum. I didn't do
But
no.
but again,
They were they
we
were
have to
they were a
acknowledge
doll they were a doll back in the day. I think it was like a pack was like $1.50 for 20 cigarettes for $1.50, and but when they came into the facility, they were $1.20 a
each.
cigarette. Yes, and
Yeah.
and and there was no money in jail. It's all
Well,
off comp.
that was like Lucy's on at a bodega. You could buy loose cigarettes, which was legal. You know, give me a Lucy. You know, so that
Lucy.
was that. But again, people
We
are
didn't
always
have
going to
that.
find ways.
We don't have that in Cal. Did they have those that in New York? You have
They
Lucy's.
probably still
So
it's
so you
illegal
buy
as far as
you
I
buy
know,
one
but like
cigarette, you buy
they
one
still do it.
cigarette, you buy one cigarette for a quarter, nickel, or dude. Now in
Well,
California,
I remember it used to be a dime.
it's
A loose
almost
cigarette's got to be like $3 now. I'm
for
gonna look it
one.
up. I have to know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do
I
do
have to
do,
know.
do that, and then we got to wrap up.
Loose, yeah, cigarette
Because
cost.
because so what the point I was trying to get to, it was you traded a pastry or 2 soups for a cigarette,
Mhm,
and pastries were like $1.20 and soups were like 60 cents. That's why it evened out. So
mhm.
you were like $1.20 for a cigarette. Dude, today if you buy them yourself, they're 18 something. I just found out, Ian told me the other day, dude, eight cigarettes are like 18.75 a pack. That's almost $1 a cigarette to kill yourself. I like how'd that be?
Okay, so check it out. I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna close on. We could close on this note. So, and then we'll pick this up the next time.
But
This is getting
we're
good.
actually going to
Okay,
spend
so
we're going to spend about 15 20 minutes next time on something that we can screen share and show you some wonderful tidbits and pieces
well,
of
we
the
should have the update. We should have the updated documents. We should have the updated documents, and hopefully
we don't have documents. We ain't sharing. Remember,
some additional.
we helping people, but we ain't giving nothing away because of all the life that you put into it. So we want to engage, have you come in, see what's there, and anything that can help you. And you know what? We did talk about that. We looking for first 55 and first hundreds. We changed our mind. Come and get in the community. You get free things that have taken hundreds of hours to build. How'd that be?
Okay, folks,
Now we
what you've just
you
witnessed is posse comitatus.
now drop your Lucy
Danny just
cigarette.
pulled. Yeah,
Your,
Danny just went all posse comitatus on us in in honor of the sheriffs we were talking about, and he's
that's right.
deputized.
That's right.
But let's talk about these loose cigarettes real quick. So,
What you
while
got?
it is illegal in the U.S., while it is illegal in the U.S. for retail, they are often sold illicitly on the black market for an estimated 50 cents to a dollar. Now, I think it's way more than this. So here's it. Okay, locations and taxes. As legally sold packs, prices vary widely depending on the state and local taxes imposed. For example, in New York City, where taxes are high, a Lucy was reported to cost 75 cents in 2014. So tell me, you think if it was 75 cents in 2014, there is no way it's $1 now.
Oh, if they're
It's
Lucy's, even if
probably
they're
3
in
or
the
4.
store and they're almost $1 now, I would expect to pay double, $2.
Easy. Easy.
That would be
Easy.
my guess, $2 because everything's 100% markup. Everything.
I'm gonna see if I could get if I'm gonna see if I can get my brother to respond because he would know exactly. Being in
All
New
I know,
York.
it's crazy that they turned into a dollar, 1875. And when I did that, my little tiny stint in '92, they were under $2 a pack, like $1.65 a pack. So they have 10. Hold on, they've 10x'd in 30 years. Cigarettes
At
have
least
10x'd in 30 years. That's crazy.
you know what's good. Here's another thing that's coffee. We were buying flavored coffee and it was like $8.99, $9.99 a pound. It's like $15 now.
Oh, we pay. I got a coffee shop that I love to get my coffee from. They roast it right there in front of you. So
Okay.
they buy beans from around the world in the hemp sacks.
Okay.
You know, 50, 100-pound hemp sacks, and they're stamped with organic trade fair, shipped around the world. These are the real beans, and then they have a giant stainless steel roaster in the coffee shop that you walk by it. You walk by the roast. You walk in, bro. Oh, brand new roasting
How much
going
a
on.
cup?
A cup, couple dollars.
Mhm.
But the beans, so they roast all their own beans. So there you go out, you walk up to one size to go buy coffee, and go buy beans up at the rack, and they got all the bottles in the back, probably 50 different kinds.
How much a pound?
20 plus.
Yeah.
My favorite was the Sumatran, and damn, what was
That's a good coffee right there.
Oh, the Sumatra coffee is the
Do me a favor. Do you see a link in a link? Wait, hold on. It's not.
You broke up a little first.
Do you see a link pop up? Do you see a link pop up on your screen now? Is there a link on your screen?
No, but if I open the chat box, I see the two.
No, you don't see a link across the video?
No. No.
Huh.
There's nothing on yours or mine.
That's interesting.
They're both empty. There they are. The names went back now.
Oh, but you didn't see anything in the middle? Because the names. Hold on. You don't see this.
No. Hey, wait. The names are gone again. Our names are gone on the video. The little
you see anything in the middle?
Nope.
Because I'm sharing that Bitly link with the library card. It might come up on the video. We'll see.
You got to go into the chat box for the Bitly links.
No, I put those in there, but I actually am sharing it on the screen. I gotta ask Lewis how to do this anyway, but we'll get back to that. But the loose cigarettes, I haven't gotten an answer back, but
you could
say that again.
Just do the YouTube video on how to run the Riverside, but I think you need to get you have to have the pro version in order to stream out and everything, right?
Well, we're streaming now.
But I'm not on anything. Are you on something?
Yeah, it's streaming right now. We're on YouTube right now.
What are you talking about?
It's what I'm talking about. We're on YouTube right now. I think if it worked.
No. So in order to be on YouTube, then I would it would be your channel, right?
Yep.
And you're streaming.
Do you see it?
Oh, that was wrong.
I don't know if it recorded because I got some error messages, so we'll have to see. It says recording, but we'll see.
You're not. I don't even pick you up. Nigel Wright. There's this one. Did you mean Nigel Wright? GHT? There it is. I see, homie. I don't see us. Oh, I see us.
Is it live? That's going to make a great clip. I see us.
That's a perfect clip. I sound like I was 12 in Stand By Me movie. I see it. I see it. I see it.
We've made it. They've accepted us as equals. And
That was perfect.
well, well, with
All
that, my
right.
friend, I think we've given the full 2 hours at least.
Yeah, we
Bravo,
did.
first
I
one.
think we did. I
Um,
think we did good. And next time we're gonna have something to actually screen share and kind of show a working performance of something, how you guys can, how other people can, first of all, save time.
yes. So I'm gonna
That's
just say the links one last time. So if you want the library card, it's bit.ly/GE library card. Bit.ly/GE library card. And for the elected officials document, bit.ly/US elect official. And as much as we're joking around and laughing, and we like to have fun, and that's good, laughing is helpful, highly recommended. I will say this: the documents
right.
definitely do give some insight into things that I feel that can absolutely be beneficial if a little time is put in. And we tried to do as much of the heavy lifting as possible, and would love to get the feedback from you so that we all can benefit from the diverse outputs that we're getting. This technology is here, and it is absolutely being used against us, if you want to look at it that way. But there's a other side to the pendulum, a flip side to the coin, where we can use it to just better understand and better make uses of what we have, as opposed to only complaining about what we don't have or what's not working. I think that somewhere in the middle, we can end up doing better. So thank you for tuning in
Yeah.
and spending
Yeah.
some time with us. And we look forward to doing this again. So any
That's
parting
right.
words for the weekend?
Oh yeah, have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. I'm here right here near the beach. I'm a mile away from the beach, so I'm gonna get my toes sandy. But yeah, if you can get outside, get some sun. May the sun be on your face and a breeze on your back. Enjoy. God bless.
Peace.
Bye bye.